Cezar, hey, it's great to see you again. Warm welcome to Southside Stories.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. Hey, so you're building a very interesting security company. Tell us a little bit about your background to start off with. Where are you based and your job title, and a little bit about your company.
So my name is Cezar Ionica. I'm based in central London in England, UK. And the name of the company is Bravo Security Limited, and I'm the managing director.
Super. Tell me a bit about your background, maybe, and how you got involved with the security business.
Well, it's a very long story, but I'll try to keep it very short. I started working in the security industry when I was 17 years old. It was, I would say, fate. A scenario happened. I seen two big guys kicking someone out of a coffee shop. They were doing security. Was causing trouble there. I was a bit lost. I got bullied when I grew up, and I seen these guys, and I thought, like, this is it. This is my profession. This is what I need to do. The next day, I went to the business where those guys were working, and I told them that they need to hire me then and there, and they did. And that's when I started working, and I've never left the security industry since then.
Great stuff. And what is it about the security business that you enjoy?
Well, look, I enjoy working with people. I think you have to be a certain build, as in, your character in order to be able to do this sort of line of work. Is very similar with the police, prison, any law enforcement. You have to be quite a strong individual, I think, morally, have a high integrity, very professional. You are dealing with people's safety. And I just enjoy working with people and being in different environments. So this is why I've decided to stay in this industry and not being confined to, just a desktop-based job sort of thing.
Yeah, great. Totally get that. Yeah. And I think your business has three elements, doesn't it? Could you describe a little bit about that?
Yeah, so my idea when I started my business was that I want to create a multi-corporation that is made up of different businesses. So you will call them a group company in the UK. So I have a security company, I have a private investigation agency that also does enforcement. So there are three elements to the business, and I've worked over the years to develop all of them. Some the security and the investigation industry, the security and the investigation agency are more developed than the enforcement side, but we're working towards building all three in the same time.
So of those three, am I right in saying that the investigative side and the security side, are those the biggest two out of the three?
Yes. So Bravo Security does man guarding, mobile patrols, key holding, alarm response, providing man security services in London and across the UK. We even work in Scotland. We have sites all over the UK where we provide security. Bravo Investigations and Enforcement, which is operating both the investigation and the enforcement side, they do legal support services. So private investigations, surveillance, tracing. We assist solicitors to serve legal documents, finding debtors, that sort of stuff. So it's quite a complex industry, and the services are coming all under one roof. So this is why we have to kind of keep them separate, but they all operate under one roof at the moment.
And Cezar, tell us a little bit about your customers. What kind of clients would employ you?
So we cater initially for the event industry. We provided security at the events. We still do nightlife, economy, door supervisors, pubs, clubs, restaurants. There are also, for example, we work with Salvation Army. They had a big issue on some of their stores where they, believe it or not, a charity shop had experiencing great loss from their shops. So they needed a security officer there to provide a presence and assist them with, not having their stock stolen. It does vary. Could be a management company that oversees buildings, and they have issues with certain people that are coming around and they're making noise, noises, causing trouble to the sites, littering, that sort of stuff. So they will need security to come there, patrol, and deter these people from coming back there for the protection of their residents.
Yeah, and I guess security, shoplifting, theft is in the news a lot. So I would guess actually, well, tell me, is it, are you seeing sort of growing demand for your services?
There is a growing demand for security services. However, there is a lot of competition in the market right now. The barrier of entry is very low. Anyone can, as long as they have a security license, they can start a security company. You just register it to the company's house, and then you can basically operate as a company, even though maybe they are not a company, they are a sole trader. But the barrier of entry is very low. So at the moment in the security industry, there are around 12,000 companies that are estimating around 12,000 companies. Most of these are not SI approved contractors. They have no accreditation. And there is a high demand. The industry is worth £5 billion plus at the moment, but there is a very high competition for it. And as I said, the barrier of entry is very low, so anyone can start a security company, and they basically, if they code lower than you, they could take your client very easily.
Yeah. And remind me, how long have you been in operation for?
So the business has been in operation since 2018, couple of years now.
Yeah. Okay. So you got about 6 years under your belt
About 6 years,
already.
yes. I've registered in 2014, but right in that period of time, I've worked as a prison officer and I stopped everything. And then when I came out from the prison service, I basically went full time, and then that's what I did since then.
Well, congratulations on making it to 6 years now. A lot of businesses,
Thank you.
fail before their fifth birthday. So you're doing pretty well.
Yes, we're doing well. We have our own, we own our own office in central London, which is, we're very proud of the work that we did so far, the clients that we've assisted, and we're looking forward to expanding and helping other businesses as well with their safety and security.
Well, that's a great segue. Tell me a little bit about how you're thinking about 2025 and what's your ambition for growing the business this year?
Well, we are investing in expanding the business right now. We are investing in SEO, sales, marketing, and so we're trying to expand the business and grow it. As I said, there is high competition at the moment, and with the budget that been announced and the national insurance contribution going up, the minimum wage going up, there's gonna be I think there's going to be disruption in the marketplace, especially in the security industry, where many companies operate on very small margins. So I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for new businesses to come in, and because they have lower overheads, they could potentially tender for contracts that they couldn't initially due to their size.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So when you look at your challenges in growing the business, what, apart from differentiation and beating the competition, what other challenges do you face? I'm thinking maybe team hiring, recruitment might be one of them, but what are they?
There are obviously in a people-intensive business like security, you always have challenges in hiring the right staff. You need to make sure that there are the right people for the job that you are deploying them to, because most of security operatives work on sites. They very rarely come to our office and maybe for training, but usually they are based on site. Once they are deployed, that's where they do their work. So the challenges are, getting the right people. They have to go through an intensive vetting process, background checks, that sort of stuff. SI license, they have to have a license, a right to work, that sort of stuff. And then we need to make sure they are professional, they have integrity, they are reliable, they turn up on time, which you will be surprised how many times. Not necessarily we experience this because we've tailored our process in such a way that we make sure that we don't hire people that are late. But there's a lot of companies that face this issue with lateness. we're always looking for new good people to join us.
Give me a sense of sort of how big the business is right now in terms of your turnover or your staffing levels right now.
Well, at the moment, it's why you consider a small business. We're somewhere between 10 to 20 employees at the moment. Um, our main issue was once we bought our office, we had a massive expenditure where we had to furnish the office and install security systems in order to make it to a certain standard, and that kind of took us from the battlefield sort of thing. So the operations side of the business has been kind of halted for I don't know about a year. So our turnovers has gone down dramatically in the last 2 years when we bought the office. It doubled last year, so roughly around six figures, low six figures, and now hopefully we're gonna start building towards going to the seven-figure mark and up. So seven figures up, hopefully.
Great. That's excellent. Good ambition there to grow the business.
Yes.
Tell me a bit about how you're approaching building a trusted security company, because trust is obviously at the core of what you do. But I guess maybe it's fair or unfair to say that perhaps security companies, not all of them, have the best reputations. But I know this is something very important to you. When you're looking to build a trusted, credible company, what are the main components of that for you, and how are you looking to deliver against that?
So look, I've always believed that security company, any other company, they're all in the people's business, and this is the most important thing for me, to be able to work with people and be professional. So professionalism is at the top of our uh, credo motto. We want to be, trustworthy, reliable, credible. If we say we're gonna provide a service for this amount of cost, we were gonna provide that service, and we're gonna try to go above and beyond so the client is very happy with our services. It's we're always constrained by costs. It's always we're always trying to go above and beyond what the client needs and try to service them as much as we can. But you'll find in the security industry, cost is very important, especially for clients. A secure guard on site can be costing the client thousands of pounds every month, and that is quite a high expense for a business. So we're trying to provide more value than what they're paying us for.
How important is it when you're competing against other security companies for business? I hear what you say about cost. How do you try to potentially compete on other factors other than cost? So, how important is that trust factor in winning new business? Or put it another way, are there other factors over cost that your potential prospects are looking for when they're tendering for business?
Of course, they are looking for, if you are capable to do the work, first of all, if you can actually provide what they need, you understand their needs, very important. They may be looking at your reviews, see if there are previous clients that are satisfied with your service. And by the way, we have great reviews from not just clients, but also people that have worked for us in the past. And in terms of balancing the cost with the quality of service, and one differentiate us from the rest of the companies, that we've been around for a while. It's very difficult for you to be in business years and years if you do not do what you say you're gonna do. You may be able to get away with once or twice, but if you are not able to provide a service to a high standard for long periods of time, then you're going to be out of business pretty quick. So, I think it's the clients will understand that once they talk to us and they realize that we've been around for a while, we're trusted by other companies, and we're going to do what we say we're going to do, then that will be in their mind, would play a big factor in relation to cost.
Yeah. Okay. You've spoke, Cesar, about that security is a people business, and you need to find people, retain people, train people. It's a very people intensive business. And I guess you're also scaling or contracting contract by contract. What are
Yes.
some of the challenges in managing, scaling up your people as and when new business comes in?
It's very challenging, and this probably applies to most small businesses. It's very difficult to leave from a sole entrepreneur situation where you are a technician. Basically, you do the work, you also manage the staff that is helping you with the work. It is tricky, but as if you can get the business and then in time you can hire the right people. It's very important. You hire the right people for the work that you need to be doing, then the business can grow and it will happen. There's many companies that have successfully moved from small business to big business. Hundreds of employees. There's I know 100 companies that are making about 1.2 billion pounds in the UK. 100 secure companies. So they did transition from a small company to big company, but it does take time. You have to figure out your processes, your systems, and how to implement them to be able to deliver the service over long periods of time to a high standard.
Yeah, you make an important point there. That's all about scaling and being efficient as you grow. Let's come on to that in a minute. Just sticking with people for 1 second. How do you find great people for your business?
Well, you find great people mostly through word of mouth. So we actually most of the staff that work for us or had worked for us in the past, they've been recommended by someone else that worked for us. They come and say, "Hey, look, this is a great company. You can apply. They are recruiting right now." They go through the application stage like everyone else. They have to complete an application form on our website. We have to interview them, make sure that they're the right fit. And then if they are the right fit, then they will probably get a chance to get to the site and we can see them. But if, for example, we need more staff or we don't have to word of mouth what we require, for a certain job, then we can go on recruitment websites like Indeed, for example. Facebook is also a great place. There are groups on Facebook where there are specific tailored for each industry. So each industry has its own groups, and you can just advertise there. People will apply or they will contact you, and you can go from there. And that's how you can recruit great people. Obviously, the last decision is yours as an employer to make sure that they are the right fit for your organization.
The What do you look for? What do you look for? How do you know, given these people are in a trusted position, they're dealing with the public, you've got your reputation at stake. When you're hiring people, how do you, I mean, referrals are a great way of getting to better people because you've got a trusted employee that's perhaps referring another person. That's
Yeah.
that's great. But when it comes to screening and hiring, what are some of the key attributes that you're looking for when you hire?
I'm smiling because this is a great question, by the way. So thank you for addressing it. It's other than the requirements for the job. So, for example, if there is a requirement for experience, licensing, courses, that sort of stuff, if they do meet all the requirements and we do speak to them, then it's just a matter of how they present themselves. If we call them and they answer in a professional way, we can hear that they are professional. You can get a sense of how they are as a person by the way they are expressing themselves, and also even their CV. Sometimes you'll find a CV has 3 lines and not much in there. It hasn't been updated since 2005. You can get a sense that maybe that person is not the right person to write daily reports on a site. So that will be a starting point. Obviously, you do have to meet the person, and then for example, if they have an interview at 2 o'clock and they come at 2:15, maybe they are not the right person for that job because they are not turning up on time. The way they present themselves, what they did in the past, even if they don't have experience, if they have studied and they stick to their studies. So it's the attitude they have. We are looking for positive attitude, great interpersonal skills, which don't necessarily have to be gathered through work. Is the way the person behaves naturally that is also very important, because we do hire, and we did hire apprentices or students that didn't have any experience, but they had the license and everything, all the other requirements. And because they're great personality, the client loved them, by the way. They are learning, and you can see potential in them. And that was one of the things that we look for.
That's great. Just explain, because I'm not sure everybody will understand, but when you say license, what is that? Is that some kind of qualification, or what is that?
Yeah, so in order for you to work in the security industry, you have to hold an SI license, which is, so the security industry is governed by the Security Industry Authority. You have to, in order for you to work in the security industry, you do have to have a license, and that means you have to go to a course, and at the end of the course, assuming that you pass the course, you can apply to the SIA, the regulatory body for the security industry, and they will do their checks, and if you fit the criteria, they will issue you the license, and that's how you can then go and work for a security company, or you can be self-employed, or you can start your own business. But you have to have a license in the UK in order to work in the security industry, and this really applies in every country. Every country has its own requirements.
And that applies not only to you, but does that apply to everybody that you're employing that's going to be active?
That's right. Everyone that operates in a licensable requirement, in a licensable role. For example, security guarding is a licensable activity. They have to have an SI license for security guarding. There are specific for each role. So, for example, we do CCTV monitoring. You have to have a CCTV license in order for you to observe images on public grounds, for example. So that would be a requirement. It can get tricky if you go into each what entails and what you can do or you can't do, but it's just as a starting point, you do need a license, yes.
And without going into a lot of detail, because as you say, I guess it varies role to role.
It can get complicated, yes.
I guess it covers things like do's and don'ts, or the legal framework, things that you're permitted to do, not permitted to do, and data security and things like that.
Yeah. Exactly. Yes. Yeah. So they do have to have a license in order for them to understand the role, to manage the public safety, to manage confidentiality of data, to understand the actual job requirements in a general way. And then once they get employed by a secure company, they will be trained specifically for a certain job. It does vary, but as a general rule, you don't have to have a license. There are non-operational roles as well, but you do have to have a license for those as well. For example, as a director of a company, you still have to have a license as a non-operational license from their side.
Okay. It's quite a tough business, isn't it, for the staff at the front line? Whether you're at an event or a retail establishment or wherever it is, it's quite a tough gig, isn't it? Because fundamentally, you're often, as a security personnel, doing something quite unpopular, right? You're often enforcing something or telling, a customer, hey, look, you're not allowed to do that. I mean, it's quite a tough gig. And it must be mentally challenging and quite arduous, is it, for your employees?
Yes, look, as I said initially when we started our conversation, I do believe that you have to be very strong mentally in order for you to be able to do this line of work. But it's not necessarily because you have to tell people, you can't do this and you can't do that. It's mostly because you have to be able to operate with integrity in order to protect the client's interest, uphold the law that applies to that certain situation, whilst you manage the people that are on site. For example, if there is a licensing requirement and you are not allowed, with the glasses outside after a certain hour, you will have to tell, unfortunately, you're not allowed because, there is a licensing requirement for, the council decided for, specific reasons that you're not allowed to. So we can't let you. And, most people understand, but it can be draining you mentally, and we did, in 20 plus years of doing this line of work, there are certain roles where it can be quite challenging.
How do you help support your employees with that, with mental health effectively? What do you do to support your team around that?
Well, I'm a strong advocate of mental health. I do believe that, before there are operatives, before there are any personnel, before they are, even working, there are people, and people have emotional needs. So we're very um, aware that they may be experiencing certain strains on their mental well-being. So the way we deal with that is we operate our open door policy with them. We do well-being checks. We go to sites. The management has to be there at least once every other week or so. Depending there's no issues, or we don't have another reason, but specifically to check on staff, not just that they are equipped correctly, they wear the correct uniform, but making sure that they are fine themselves. If there is any issue, or we suspect there is a problem with any of them, then we're gonna speak to them. We ask them how is everything. I think that personal connection with the staff is very important as well. Many managers, they are too, too high on their horse, and they forget that they are dealing with people, and they have problems. People have problems in their lives. They have situations that happen. Most situations go, and they're gonna be fine. But when they go through something, and it's very important that you notice some sort of pattern, that something is off, and then you just speak to them and try to help them as much as you can.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. You're doing that. You talked a little bit about scaling the business, the requirement for great processes, etc., and accreditation. Tell us a little bit about that. How important are defining quality processes in your business?
Well, they're very important because you have to operate to a certain standard in order for you to be able to provide a quality service. And as I said, be able to replicate a quality service over multiple sites. If you do not know what you're doing, then you won't be able to figure out how to do, a certain job on various sites over long periods of time. So, um, in the lucky part is, if you want to call it lucky, is that every standard in the UK is has its own literature. So, for example, secure guarding has its own standard. Alarm response, the key holding alarm response has its own standard. So, in the standard, the British authority that regulates the standards in the UK issue these requirements, where you have, the license requirement, insurance requirements. How is the construction of the control room? How is meant to be done? Where you store keys? That sort of all that information that you need in order to operate the business. So you can go to the standard and just tailor your business after it. We at the beginning, when we started properly, when I went full time into the business back in late 2017, early 2018, I hired a consultant to assist me with providing me with the documentation, because I thought it's a lot easier than just figure out myself everything. So they provide all the documentation, and then we just operate at that standard since.
Great. And then how do you make it? Is there a way that you're looking at how you make that more efficient? So you had a consultant that
Yes.
came in, it gave you the initial perhaps documentation and the requirements. How do you bake some of that into your business so when you're scaling, you don't have to continually reinvent some of this stuff? How do you manage that?
Um, Security business, it's other than specific requirements for certain sites, your main documents don't really change much. You have, for example, a new site will require a new assignment instruction for that specific site. So, access control to that, the way you access the site, where the keys are, where the access points are, alarm, details about an alarm. the alarm that is on site. That sort of information they are putting in a document which is specific for the site, and that will dictate everything about that site. So every site has its own specific document, its own assignment instruction, along with a risk assessment and some other documents that we have to and processes that we have to put in place for every site. What's going on in the back end where the admin happens doesn't change much. We may add the keys to our register. We may do other increase the staffing level if there is a bigger contract starting, but it's specific for the site, and every site has its own documentation.
Got it. Okay. And then accreditation, we spoke a little bit about licensing, but accreditation from professional bodies, are there various standards, or is there one particular standard in terms of accreditation that you'll look to implement and maintain?
Yes, it's called approved contractor, and it's done by an assessing body on behalf of the SIA, and it's an external, if you want, check from an assessing body. But first, you have to apply to the SIA for it. This is voluntary, by the way. You don't have to apply for it. You can operate without it, which we did until now, and we still do for the time being, until we decide that we have to implement it and do it ourselves. And the reason is it's very difficult for a small business to absorb the costs and the overheads for going through the entire process. Although we operate at the standard, until so far we did not thought that it's cost effective for us to do so and apply, but it's something that we are working on now, and we are looking into implementing in our business as well. But in order to apply, you have to go to the SIA, complete an application with them. They will have do their checks on directors and the business and all that stuff, and then they will allow you to go to the assessing body, and they will come down if you are meeting the standard. For example, security guarding, it's a standard. Door supervision, it's a standard. If you're meeting the standard, they're going to issue you with the certificate, which is going into a public record on the SIA website, and that's called an approved contractor.
And I guess, is there auditing involved after you've got?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's auditing involved, potentially bringing you to the 9001 quality management. And this is great. Don't get me wrong. This is every business should want to be an ACS approved contractor. But when you are a small business, it's very difficult for you to absorb the cost if you don't have the amount of business needed in order for you to be able to do so. By every business, and I think in every industry there should be the businesses should be looking at going to an assessing body and becoming approved if they have the option.
So that's an ambition of yours to get that eventually, that when you've got the scale and it's worth it, to get the SIA accreditation.
It's been, look, since 2018 we keep saying we're gonna do it this year, The drawback to it is that there are quite hefty costs involved, and it's a personal opinion. I didn't thought that it deserved the cost, especially that we didn't have the amount of business necessary to cover the overheads. But if I will be to go and do it, I will do it now. Actually, we have to. I think it's better to do it than not do it. For a secure company, I think it's very important, and we will definitely be looking to apply.
I guess, are there clients that it's a requirement?
Yeah, that's right.
So it could unlock some future revenue for you if you have it.
Yes, that will unlock those bigger contracts that we can't tender for at the moment. And this is one of the perils of the security industry. When you are a small company, like in any industry where you are a small either freelancer or a small company, it will be very difficult for you to go and bid for a government contract where they have, a requirement for hundreds of staff. Logistically, it will be very difficult for you to apply and become a contractor for them. But yes, being an approved contractor is a requirement for most government contracts, and that's reserved for the big companies at the moment.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really interesting. Let's switch to technology, because technology has an increasing role in security, and we see it in a lot of different places, right? So ANPR, like number plate recognition, and face recognition, and a whole bunch of AI, of course, coming in. And what's your thoughts on the role that technology is going to play in the security industry in the next couple of years? And for a company like yours, how do you think about how you in your business might implement some of that tech?
Well, look, AI and technology already plays a big role in the security industry, and we already seen an increase in perimeter intrusion detection services. They are called PIDs. So basically, it's a device that you put on a land or an empty building or somewhere where usually you used to have a security officer. You put this device there. It has 360 degrees cameras on it. It's solar powered. It's air powered, and it can provide you with the image directly in your control room, so you don't have to have an officer there at a fraction of a cost to having a security guard. So this is already in the security industry, and AI is going to play, and it plays a big role in facial recognition right now. But I think is going to play a big role in the security industry going forward as we're moving towards more a technological approach to security industry. Although that being said, even though you have technology, definitely is going to evolve in the coming years. The demand side of the security industry, I don't think is going to change too much from what it is. The security industry has been like this for many, many years. But you do see an increase of use of body cams, for example. You do see an increase in CCTV. Almost everyone now has cameras around, and they are AI powered. They have facial recognition technology. In most of cameras now have AI included in their system. It would be interesting to see if the processing of the data from the cameras could be brought from the cloud directly to the system, so you don't have to process it. Because at the moment, I think it goes to the cloud. We'll see if they can somehow implement it directly in the camera or in the camera system. That would be an interesting thing to notice. Drones are coming now into the security, even with the even in the empty building space, you'll see a lot more drones. You'll see surveyors using them. You can also use them for security, although traditional CCTV is probably better suited, even though if it's temporary. They're very useful, but I don't think they can really replace. You do need to have a human at some point along.
Yeah, because I guess the humans, they're there on the ground. They're interpreting the image of that human intelligence and deciding whether, I don't know, an alert is really an alert, or whether it's just the wind blowing, and reacting more with that human sort of level intuition.
The AI processes the image. So, for example, if on a camera you can set a tripwire, right? So you have a site, and then you can put a trip. For example, like a line on the site. If someone passes there, if it's a human, the AI on the camera can actually tell the difference between a human and an animal. If it's a human, then that will raise an alert. It could come back in the control room, and it could alert an operator there is someone on site. That's very useful, by the way, for any site to have one, especially if you have an empty building, some land. So this has increased, and I've seen an increase in the last couple of years in using this perimeter intrusion devices. And also the CCTV, you know, UK is one of the countries that has the most amount of cameras per capita, I think, in the world, outside Asia at least. So we're gonna see technology evolving. I don't know if they're gonna replace humans with robots, but we're gonna see. Everything is possible right now.
Yeah, it is, and it's very very fast moving. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that evolves. Yeah. So just moving towards the end, then, Cezar, tell me a little bit. What are you most excited about for the coming year for your business?
I'm very excited about the opportunity of expanding the business right now, servicing more clients, assisting more people with their security investigation requirements. We are moving towards a group structure right now, so I'm very excited about integrating technology into the business. We're gonna acquire some assets. I don't say exactly what they are, but this could be deployed to client sites instead of a security guard, and they could already alert us if someone is on site at a fraction of the cost of a security guard. So that is a big leap, I think. Investing in systems that are AI powered to monitor a huge number of cameras, and because this AI could tell which one is a false alarm and which one is a real alarm. You can have one operator monitoring a higher number of cameras than ever before. So, we're going to invest in technology. I'm very excited about seeing what happens with the big companies. I know there are a couple of security companies out there that have tender for big contracts on very, very small margins. So with the increase of national insurance contribution in April and the minimum wage, will be interesting to see if they will be able to hold their contracts, or this contract's gonna come on the market, and hopefully we're gonna get some of that work from the big boys in the industry. So there are, in every industry, there are opportunities. In the security industry, the same. We're just out there doing the work that is needed in order to expand. And I'm very very excited about that.
Great stuff. Good. Well, I wish you best of luck with that.
Thank you very much.
Finally, Cezar, and I'm asking everybody this question, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received? It could be from a business person, a family member, but what's the best bit of advice you've received?
It's a great question, by the way, and I love that question so much. I thought I've received a lot of good advice in the last couple of years, but I think the best bit of advice is that irrespective of what business you are in the people's business, and that's my motto now. I just always remember, it doesn't matter if it's employees, if it's contractors, if it's client, doesn't matter who they are, they're all people. Even government official, they're still people. And my motto is treat everyone with respect, empathy, try to be as helpful as possible, provide value as much as you can, and generally be a good person. I think that goes a long way. And if you have integrity and you apply this people mentality to everything you do, then I think you're gonna go far in life. And if you don't, at least you'll have a good experience, with your fellow humans.
Yeah, that's great. Love that. Good philosophy on life, I think that. Cezar, thank you so much. It's great to get so many insights into your business and the security business. I'm sure our listeners and viewers learn a lot from that. Thank you so much for spending some time with us.
Thank you for having me, and it was great. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, cheers then.
Cheers.